Welcome. I'm Chef Eric Crowley, owner of the Culinary Classroom in Los Angeles, and today we are going to make a brown sugar caramel sauce. Let's get started. For our brown sugar caramel, we're going to need about a 1/4 pound or a 4-ounce stick of butter, a 1/2 cup of brown sugar plus 2 tablespoons. We're also going to need 1/2 cup of heavy cream or whipping cream and 1/2 tablespoon, which is also 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. So to proceed with the sauce, we're going to melt some butter over a medium-high heat, stir it around with a spatula, and even before the butter completely melts, I can go ahead and start to put in the sugar. And the reason why brown sugar sometimes is preferred is because of its manufacture. The way that brown sugar is made is very similar to white sugar, except brown sugar is not processed nearly as much. Brown sugar actually has a little bit more molasses left inside the cane or the beet, whatever is used to make the sugar. So as a result, it has a really dark color to it. As the butter melts, I think I'm going to pour in the rest of my sugar. Stirring it with a spatula, really, really important. You want to keep that sugar moving all over the bottom of the pan and all along the sides. And as it starts to reach that caramel stage, this granular look that is present with the sugar. In fact, you can see it just barely on the bottom of the pan here as I start to spread it around. That will dissipate. The sugar crystals will actually start to melt. And it's going to take on a really deep color and a really super sweet smell. You might even start to see some smoke coming around the rim of the pan. And that tells you that you're starting to get really close to finishing. It also tells you that you really need a heavy bottom pan. Even a cast iron skillet would work really well with this, but nothing inexpensive, no thin aluminum, or else the pan will actually not be able to hold the heat and the caramel will cook unevenly, and the pan may actually get too hot to be able to tolerate. We're going to wind up starting to get kind of a foamy, bubbly consistency. And as I'm stirring it, I want to make sure that I don't stir it up too vigorously. I don't want to splash any of this out onto my clothing, and certainly not my skin. It's starting to become very, very hot. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the heat a little bit just to speed up the process. And since I have the heat turned up, I'm really going to pay attention to the pan now. You'll actually start to see the sugar starting to change color more around the rim than in the center. If I let that sit for a little bit, you can see a little bit of this browning right around the edge here, and you can start to see that smoke. I'm going to bring that in towards the inside. Okay. And it's starting to get a really wonderful caramel aroma. Again, more of that browning around the edge. See that smoke building up? You can even see the caramel is starting to brown right near the edge right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that on in and swirl that on in. Turn off the heat. The sauce will actually continue to cook after it comes off the heat. Notice that smoke. This pan is very, very hot. That's the reason for the towel on my plastic cutting board. If you're doing this at home and you have a plastic or a wood cutting board, you definitely want to put a towel or something heat-proof, even a hot mitt underneath or an oven mitt or even a trivet. If you put this pan right on your wood cutting board, you're going to leave a nice black burn mark on it. So it's actually continuing to cook, and we're going to go ahead and finish it off by giving it a little bit lighter of a color and a little bit pourable consistency by pouring in some heavy cream. Now when this happens, it's going to bubble up really vigorously. It's going to be a lot of steam, so it's really important that you lean back and add it in quickly. And there it goes. Stir that around with that rich caramel aroma in the air. And we can let this cool off even further if you so like. As it continues to get to room temperature, it's actually going to thicken up and become pretty firm. It could easily be reheated by pouring it back out or scooping it back out with a spatula into a pan like this, adding in a little bit of cream or a little bit of milk, and heating it up on a low to medium-low heat in order to get it back to this consistency. You could do it in the microwave as well. I'm going to add in a little bit of vanilla too. It's going to bubble up as well. Again, just for some flavor. We already have brown sugar in here, so vanilla might be competing a little bit, but vanilla and sugar, always a good combination. A nice white cupcake here with a little bit of white frosting on it. The caramel may melt the frosting. Take off the paper here. Cupcake right in the center. And what I would love to do with this would be to actually just pour caramel right over the top of that let it cool down the sides, and then go ahead and serve it. There it goes. Oh my. And that is our brown sugar caramel. Maybe even be able to tilt the pan a little bit, let that frosting from the cupcake melt and actually stir together, mix together in with the caramel. As the caramel hits the cold plate, it's going to firm up, but it's definitely scoopable. And that is a really good use for our caramel sauce. Another one is to stir into some softened ice cream or spoon it right over the top with some really firm ice cream and let the coldness from the ice cream, very similar to this plate, firm up the caramel and cool it off a little bit. Could also mix it in with some bread pudding. Serve it on a piece of pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie and caramel would go really well together. And that is our brown sugar caramel sauce. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on other links so you can get other recipes. If you don't see something that interests you, email a request to requests@mahalo.com. Also be sure to subscribe so you can get lots of wonderful additional information. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.